Good evening. Our special guest on NDTV this evening is the man who's really leading the fight against Corona in Delhi, along with the Chief Minister, Manish Sisodia, Deputy Chief Minister, Education Minister, and now Health Minister as well. Manish Sisodia ji, thank you very much for joining us. Tell us, sir, first, we just, of course, you and the Chief Minister just launched India's first plasma bank in Delhi. Why is this so important?
प्लाज्मा बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है दिल्ली के लिए, क्योंकि जैसे जैसे केसेस बढ़ रहे हैं वैसे ही हमने प्लाज्मा के जब ट्रायल्स किए थे तो उससे निकल के आया कि प्लाज्मा की वजह से किसी की जान बचाने के चांसेस 30% बढ़ जा रहे हैं। ये कोई अल्टीमेट सॉल्यूशन नहीं है। वी कांट से कि प्लाज्मा आ गया तो और प्लाज्मा हो गया तो बस अब कोरोना ख़त्म हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है। लेकिन अगर कोरोना की वजह से किसी की डेथ होने की संभावना ज़्यादा है तो उसको 30% तक रिड्यूस किया जा सकता है प्लाज्मा थेरेपी के द्वारा। ये अभी ट्रायल्स में सामने आया था। जैसे ही ये नतीजे सामने आए, बहुत सारे लोग हमसे भी संपर्क करने लगे, सोशल मीडिया पे भी, कि भाई हमें प्लाज्मा चाहिए, कहाँ से मिलेगा, कैसे मिलेगा। सो उससे ये आइडिया है कि एक बैंक बनाया जाए दिल्ली में, जहाँ जो लोग ठीक हो गए हैं और प्लाज्मा दे सकते हैं वो प्लाज्मा दें और वो बैंक के रूप में रखा रहे और जिसको ज़रूरत है वो उसमें से लेता रहे। तो सरकार ने ये तय किया, फिर इसके बाद आज उसकी शुरुआत हुई है।
No, absolutely, Manish ji, because of course, I mean, even after NDTV launched our campaign, we've been getting so many calls. So this plasma bank should be there in every state. But then are you saying that the focus now is on treatment, on managing Corona rather than prevention? Is Corona now a reality we are all going to have to live with?
Corona is a reality that everybody knows, and we have to, as Chief Minister keeps saying again and again, that we have to learn to live with Corona. But Chief Minister's focus and daily review, daily monitoring is based on 5 things. First is testing, that's foremost. He always keeps saying that don't leave any person under suspension, under suspect conditions, because most of the deaths that take place are in suspect period. Someone feels something is wrong with him or her and they want to test, and then there is some delay in test or some delay in reporting, so there are deaths. So his focus is that we should have n number of tests as are required or more than that. So Delhi is having 20,000 tests per day. That is the highest in the country today. So testing is first and foremost pillar for his strategy. Second part of his strategy is isolation. If you are found positive, you have to be either home isolated or either isolated in quarantine centers. Third is bed. He is focusing, I mean our government is focusing under the leadership of Chief Minister that we have to have at least more than double of need beds available at any point of time. And I can say with pride today, when we are having 6,000 patients in our hospitals, in all our hospitals of COVID, we are having 15,000 beds. This means 9,000 beds are not occupied as on date, are vacant as on date if needed. So this is another is plasma, and then surveillance. So you asked about tracing. Yes, it is also important under surveillance, but these 4 pillars, as I said, 4 or 5 pillars are very important, and this is the part of a strategy.
No, that's a very important point. You said you should have double the number of beds as patients who need it. So you're saying 6,000 patients and 15,000 beds available today. But the situation is very different at the beginning of June. And of course, you also made that projection that there will be 5.5 lakh cases in Delhi by July. So does it mean that perhaps that this whole projections, that no one really knows the extent of cases, how this virus is going to behave? Are these government projections meaningless? Do they create panic?
Of course, nobody knows that. I mean, this is a new disease and nobody can expect what will happen tomorrow. Nobody can predict. But all the projections that were being shown on Government of India portal, I shared that on 8th June. And that was, I personally feel that was very important to share with public, because public also need to be on alert that what can be next, what is being predicted should be shared with public also. That was important in my viewpoint. There could be different viewpoints also. But I would say that you see, there is, when we compare state by numbers, I personally feel that's wrong. I'll tell you why. Because Delhi is having 20,000 tests per day, 21,000 tests in a day. Some states having 2,000 tests in a day. So when we compare those 2 states, having 500 cases and here having say 4,000 cases. So 20,000 cases में से 4,000 positive निकलना and 500 positive out of 2,000 tests, that can't be compared. That can't be a good combination to understand the status of the pandemic.
Right.
So that's why I also say that don't go by numbers. Today, till a week back, I was testing in Delhi. 6,000 people were being tested and 2,000 were coming positive. That was alarming. Today, when I'm saying things are static, things are stabilizing, we are testing 20,000 people and we are getting 2,000, 2,500, maybe 3,000 people positive. So that's a good sign. Though numbers are more than 2,000, but that's a good sign that number of tests have increased. Tomorrow I might be having 40,000, 50,000 tests. The number might be 4,000, but it's not as alarming as 2,000 out of 4,000 tests.
No, absolutely. In fact, that's a major improvement if you're saying that from 6,000 cases, 2,000 emerging positive, now from 20,000 tests, only 2,000, that's a major improvement. And that's interesting because, of course, we know that many states which have been lauded, the Prime Minister had also pointed out that in Uttar Pradesh, that how there were such little cases, but the testing is still something which needs to be ratcheted up. In Karnataka, we are now seeing that more cases are coming up, even though it was declared a success story just about a month ago. What are the big lessons that you're learning, watching from other states, other cities as Health Minister?
My point is that we have to be ready with our medical infrastructure as far as possible, as fast as possible, because that gives you a comfort level. Today, when I am having 15,000 beds on my app, and I can easily tell anyone who asks me where are the beds, I can tell them this is the hospital near you. This is the number of beds that are vacant. You can immediately go to that hospital. Today, I have government official present in each hospital who takes care of this app, who takes care of the admissions, who takes care of the protocols of COVID. So we have that control. So better if things are increasing, if number of tests are increasing. We faced a little difficulty in beginning in the first week of June, and that was because it was all of a sudden the spike came. And we found that these are the solutions. When we implemented those solutions, now we are at comfort level. So those states who are still moving ahead in that direction where there could be more cases should be ready with that, your people are ready, your teams are ready, your beds are ready. Even if you have to stretch a little bit to banquet halls, to hotels, you should prepare for that.
So be prepared, but that actually is the big question, Minish Sisodiya ji, because you keep referring to the beginning of June, and that of course is also when we were just coming out of the lockdown, when at that point Mumbai was seen as the real hot spot of India, but suddenly Delhi had become the problem with reports of patients dying, no ambulances, no beds available. What was that actually like for you? Because at that time Delhi seemed out of control, and then suddenly you were made health minister as well when Satyendra Jain was rushed to hospital.
It was really tough time for all of us, and I can say the kind of character this virus is showing, no health system is ready to understand what is needed. In first week of June, when lockdown was started, the big thing about Delhi was that there were 35,000 passengers who came from different parts of the world to Delhi, and we hosted them, we took care of them, we screened them. So Delhi and Mumbai have played that important role in whole episode of this pandemic. So Delhi and Mumbai are bound to be more pro to the spread of this virus, and we have to understand this. Any city who is hosting 35,000 people coming from across the world in flights, stationing in Delhi, that is bound to happen, whatever you prepare, whatever you do. So that is one of the reason, and of course it was spreading. We increased the number of tests and the cases increased. That's why I said that the projection that I shared was not speculation. It was not a number came from air. It was a number that came from Government of India website. It's a portal Government of India has made. They have a projection system that these are the number of tests you are doing. These are the for every state they do this. So for Delhi, that projection was shared with public. That's what I did.
Right. Now, of course, it must have been also brought home by the fact that the health minister of Delhi was then. Was it ever a critical situation for Satyendra Jain? What did you go through when you were suddenly made health minister? How did you shift your focus or priorities?
I was involved in each and every process of what was being done also, but yes, when Satyendra Jain got hospitalized, I was also worried what will happen now, because so much nitty-gritties of a new department, and in the mid of it was like you are being made captain of a sailing ship which is in the middle of the sea. But yes, I am grateful to the team that has been working. I am grateful to the doctors and the leadership of Chief Minister, which with the help of everybody, now things are at least, if not, it's hard to say improving, but yes, stabilizing.
One of the questions that emerged, and I think also when the health minister was hospitalized, was why did the health minister have to go to a private hospital? Why is it that even today government doctors from LNJP, from Ram Manohar Lohia, all choosing to go to a private hospital like Max, when that's not necessarily an option available to the ordinary citizen, especially given that AAP's main focus has been on improving government health institutions, government schools. Don't you think it's an irony that when there's a crisis like this, that it's private hospitals that our politicians and government doctors turn to?
Definitely, in last 5 years, Delhi government has worked a lot on health sector, and I can say that if that work was not there, I mean, God knows what would have happened, because so many doctors, so many medical staff, so much of medical infrastructure, equipment, technology that was placed in last 5 years have actually helped. But this is very subjective question. It involves a lot of people, including families, including the person, the patient. I think it's unfair to comment on that. Why not here? Why not? Because there are thousands and thousands of people who are being treated in hospitals. There are thousands and thousands who are being treated at home. So one can say that why, if home isolation is working well, why are people being shifted to hospital? But yes, at some time you need hospital. At some time you need some specific care that might be available in a particular hospital.
No, but also just to ask, since you've been talking so much about June, and both the Chief Minister and you are saying things have improved for now, but there was a huge political backlash against the way your government handled this as well, and the perception that the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, had to step in and take charge of the Delhi situation. What would you say about that?
Sonia, I would say that no government around the world is competent enough to face this situation. Every government needs support from all other government. If central government thinks we can do it, or any state government, including Delhi government, thinks that we can manage it without anybody, it's a joke. It would be too arrogant to say. So everybody from center to state to any, that's why Chief Minister says कि हम दिल्ली वालों के लिए कुछ भी कर सकते हैं और हमें कुछ भी करने की जरूरत पड़ेगी, we'll do that. So his coordination with that's why he went and folded hands with the central government, with society. So a lot of society people came, lot of individual doctors volunteered, lot of corporate houses supported, ITBP supported for medical staff in this 10,000 bed hospital that is being made in Chhatarpur. Central government supported with ventilators and other things. So support coming on and coordinated work can only save Delhi. It's not my command versus his command or this command or that command.
No, of course, and as India's capital, it's nice to see coordinated work. But of course, Mr. Sishodia, the Home Minister is not so kind to you, and the BJP and the Congress have been attacking the AAP government, the Congress calling the AAP government a B team of the BJP. The Home Minister also indicating that your statements weren't right, and that how he did have to, in a sense, step in.
As long as people of Delhi are safe, I'm happy. Whoever takes credit, whoever says what, this is all politics. My politics, my job, my Chief Minister's job is to save people's life, and that's what we are happy with if we are able to save. किसी के हाथ जोड़ के बचेंगे, किसी के सामने पैर पकड़ने पड़ेंगे, किसी को मनाना पड़ेगा, किसी को रोकना पड़ेगा. इन सब से लेके अगर दिल्ली के लोगों के लिए मदद होती है तो we'll do that, and we are happy with that.
No, that's actually nice to hear. But just to say, just to ask, because you just said about my politics. Now, of course, as Education Minister, you took on private schools and fee hikes very publicly. I think, in fact, you said in an interview on NDTV that, you know, private schools are not like mithai shops. They're not about making profit. It's about a public service. Now, in a sense, do you think you're facing that same battle with private hospitals, with AAP also saying, and of course, the central government as well, the Dr. V.K. Paul committee, that charges must be capped? In private school matter also, I have been saying this, that government is considerate, government understand the expenses. Here also, in private hospital sector also, I'll say the government considers your expenses, your revenues. So you have to keep a balance in between. You can't just keep
thinking people, they are the milk cows कि उनको बस किसी तरह से इनको मिल्क करते रहिए. आपको लोगों पेशेंट्स को वैसे भी नहीं देखना है. आपको आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि आप अपने पैसे जेब से पैसे लगा दीजिए, बट आई विल से कि especially in this kind of tough time which is never seen by humankind, please be cooperative, please be humane. That's more important. History will remember everybody when people be humane.
No, I think that's an important message. Humanity at a time which humankind has never actually seen before. But just to ask you, Mr. Sisodiya, because of course you're also Education Minister, and we saw that board exams have just been scrapped after much confusion about it. First, the HRD Ministry announced it from the beginning. From day one, you had said that exams shouldn't be held at this time. Is this pandemic a chance for us to actually completely relook how our current education system is functioning, how children are learning, and the stress and tension of exams at this time?
This is one of the most important factor, and the damage that is being done by this pandemic to our next generation is irreparable. There would be vaccine at some point of time for COVID, but for economy and for education, there would be hardly available any vaccine, and the damage that is being done. We are just praying and hoping that schools and colleges are open as soon as possible. Whatever technology we have, whatever online systems we have, and we have its limits also, but still, whatever we have, it can't replace the education in classrooms. It can't replace the education in hospital, university and schools.
But of course, Mr. Sisodiya, the worry is that, as you said, with this online education, that we are only reinforcing. Earlier, there was a divide between government schools and private schools. In Delhi, at least, the quality of government schools has gone up. But now we're reinforcing a digital divide because, of course, children of parents who can't afford tablets or phones for them to partake of online education. How are you going to fix that?
I know if this is not taken care, it will be another big divide, which was economy and caste, based on caste region earlier, then economic divide. Now it will become a digital divide. So when we are forming our policies and plans for this July, we are especially taking care of that aspect, that we have to make sure that there is no further digital divide created in the society in the name of education. So when we have started working, and we'll let you know how we are handling this. There is no ultimate solution to this, because this is online system, and whatever technology is available, whatever access to the technology, we have to depend on this. But still, we are trying to make it robust so that no child is left.
No child left behind. I look forward to that, because that really is a key issue right now. But of course, sir, for so many students watching right now, when do you think schools and colleges will open in Delhi?
Actually, we are just hoping, because I can say last week, after 14th June, 15th June was the week of good hope, and now things are stabilized for almost more than 2 weeks. So we are hoping that if things don't go bad again, then we may think of opening up more schools and all, more economy.
So are you saying that perhaps after August, September, you're going to just wait and study the cases?
No, we can't have anything in mind, because every day things are changing. So if things go in the same direction, which seems to be leading to now, I think August would be a good month to open in whatever capacity education institutions also.
And Mr. Sisodiya, suggest before you go, what would be your big message or your final thoughts on this issue right now, as Delhi, of course, the capital of India, is grappling with this issue? What would be your thoughts at this moment today on the 1st of July? 2nd of July.
I would say that after 4 or 5 months of experience in India, we have to understand the situation, need not to be panic, but to be alert. And for government, we can say we are ready. We are trying our best to be much ahead of the need which we are today, and have faith in your leaderships. Everybody is working hard in this time, but the most important thing is learn to respect your doctors. They are the front foot warriors today, and whatever, sometimes they might be irritating to you, sometimes they might not be as polite to you as you expect them to be, but still they are the doctors, they are the front runners right now, they are the front foot holders right now. Respect them, love them.
No, absolutely, and I hope the big learning for India will also be that how much we need to invest in health to actually deal with a pandemic like this. But Mr. Sissodia, finally, even amid this pandemic, we also see politics as normal, given the current tension with China at the borders, but political bickering continues. AAP wasn't even invited to the all-party meeting held by the Prime Minister. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know, that's their politics. We as a nation, we as a citizen, we as a party, we are with our forces, with our central government, with our nation at this critical moment, and for every decision that they do to protect the sovereignty of the country, we are with them.
Absolutely, I think that's what's important. Manish Sissodia, Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister, Health Minister and Education Minister, thank you very much for joining us on NDTV. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonia.